Hello, and welcome to the My BFF Business Leaders Podcast, your new secret weapon for business success. Sponsored by My BFF Social Media, Marketing, and Advertising. Make sure to hit subscribe. Now let's get started.
All right, so you know how everybody's always talking about personal branding, like it's this big mysterious thing? Well, we're diving deep into that today. Figuring out how to make you unforgettable.
I like it. Unforgettable.
Right. And to kick things off, big thanks to our sponsor, My BFF Social, for helping make this deep dive happen.
They're the best.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, so to get into all this branding stuff, we've got some awesome excerpts from this guide called Personal Branding Matters. Super practical, no fluff.
Yeah, I was checking that out. Really good stuff.
Yeah, gets right to the point, which I love. So first things first.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, why even bother with this whole personal branding thing? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's easy to think, oh, that's for like CEOs and celebrities.
Right, exactly. But the thing is, this guide makes a really good point.
Hit me with it.
People buy from people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, in the end, it's about connection. It's about trust, no matter what you're selling, whether it's your skills, your art, whatever.
It's so true, especially nowadays, you know. Everyone's vying for attention online.
Exactly. It's a noisy world out there. So how do you cut through all that noise? How do you make people actually stop and listen?
Well, the guide uses this analogy. I love this. It's like your online presence is your storefront.
Okay, I can see where this is going.
And social media, that's your shop window.
It's that first impression.
Bingo!
But here's the thing, and I think we've all felt this. There are so many platforms. It's like, where do you even start?
I know, right? You can totally get lost in the social media jungle.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what does the guide say about, like, navigating that?
This is where it gets smart. Pick one platform, the one where your people actually hang out. Don't try to be everywhere. Be amazing where it matters.
Okay, so quality over quantity.
100%. It's about showing up consistently, being engaging, being genuine, you know, actually participating, not just posting and ghosting.
So it's like, instead of trying to be on every social media channel under the sun, you're saying it's better to become a regular on the one where your ideal clients or customers are most active.
You got it. It's about being strategic. It's about impact. Now, social media is awesome, but it's important to remember you're kind of renting space, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's their rules, their algorithms, their changes whenever they want.
You're at their mercy.
Exactly. That's where your website comes in. That's your kingdom.
Owning your own domain. I like it.
Right. Google searches, you looking professional, total control of your story.
It's like, when someone Googles you, you want them to find you, not some random outdated link.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, it doesn't have to be this massive, expensive website. The guide actually says even a simple site or a blog on Medium or Substack, it's better than nothing.
So even just having a little corner of the internet that you control, that's a big step.
Huge step. Shows you're serious, gives people a central hub.
I'm with you. Okay, so we've got our social media strategy, we've got our website. What else is in this personal branding toolbox?
Are you ready for this? Video.
Oh yeah, gotta have video. Everyone's saying that now, right?
For good reason. Look, everybody's got a decent camera on their phone these days.
No excuses.
Exactly. But Personal Branding Matters takes it a step further. They talk about how faces, voices, that human element, it connects way better than just text.
That makes sense. Like, you can convey so much more emotion and personality through video.
So much more. It doesn't have to be fancy either.
Oh, good, because I'm no Spielberg over here.
Right. Just start small. Live streams, TikToks, even just you talking about your work.
So it's more about just putting yourself out there and letting people see the real you.
Authenticity is key. People can smell a fake a mile away. So just be yourself. Let your personality shine through.
I dig it. Okay, so we're building our online presence, but how do we actually get our name out there? You know, reach people beyond just our immediate circle.
That's where leveraging other people's audiences comes in. The guide talks about guest articles, podcast appearances, even being active in those online groups that are relevant to what you do.
Smart. It's like borrowing someone else's megaphone.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You're tapping into an audience that's already interested in your niche.
Way less work than starting from scratch.
Right. And there was this really cool tip I'd never heard of. HAO, it's called.
HRO.
Yeah, stands for Help a Reporter Out. It's a platform connecting journalists with experts.
Oh, interesting. So you could potentially become a source for a news article or something.
Yeah. You get these daily emails with requests, and if one fits your expertise, you reply. Free PR, basically.
Sign me up. I love free anything.
Right. And you're helping journalists at the same time, so it's a win-win.
This guide's full of good stuff. Speaking of win-win, there's this concept I'm super passionate about, and it's giving away valuable stuff for free, like a guide, checklist, whatever.
Oh, I love that too. Builds trust like crazy.
It really does. And there's a reason for that, right? Psychologically, when you give something of value away, it positions you as the expert.
Exactly. And it creates this goodwill. You're saying, hey, I know my stuff and I'm confident enough to share some of it. No strings attached.
And people remember that.
They do. The guide even recommends using Canva to design these freebies.
Oh, Canva's great.
Yeah.
Easy to use, even if you're not a designer.
Exactly. And while you're at it, get people on your email list. That way you can keep sharing value and building that relationship over time.
The email list.
Yeah.
Essential. Okay, we've got trust, we're sharing value. But what about social proof? You know, those amazing testimonials that make people go, I need what they're offering.
Testimonials are gold. The guide is all about showcasing those everywhere. Website, social media, you name it, leveraging that power of social proof.
Because happy clients are basically walking, talking billboards for you.
Exactly. And don't be shy about asking for those referrals either. Sometimes people just need a little nudge.
I'm going to make a note of that. Don't be shy. Ask for the referral.
Write it down. All right, so we've covered a lot here. Social media, websites, video, freebies, testimonials. But the biggest thing, and the guide emphasizes this too, it's consistency. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon.
It's about showing up day after day, building that brand over time.
And that's what we're going to dive into next, because it's easy to say, be consistent, but how do you actually do that? How do you make it a habit, not just a burst of energy that fizzles out?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we've got some answers coming up after the break.
It really is a journey.
It is. Okay, so before we get too deep into the AOW of all this, let's take a second to answer the WHY.
Good point. Always got to start with the why.
Right, like why is personal branding even important? Why should people care? You know, for those listening who might be thinking, is this really worth my time?
Totally. And honestly, it's more important now than ever.
You think so? Why is that?
Well, think about it. Everyone's online, right? We're bombarded with information, choices. Everyone's shouting for attention.
It's true. It's like sensory overload sometimes.
Exactly. So how do you stand out? How do you cut through all that noise? That's where a strong personal brand comes in.
It's like your brand becomes your beacon.
I love that. Yeah. It's like, hey, over here. This
Yeah.
is what I'm about. This is what I can do for you.
And it goes back to that trust thing we were talking about,
Yeah.
right? People want to do business with someone they feel like they know.
Exactly. And your brand helps build that know and trust factor. It's like you're letting people in, showing them who you are, what you stand for, what you're passionate about.
Being authentic, basically.
Yes. Authenticity is key because people can spot a fake a mile away.
They can smell it. So how do we actually start building this amazing personal brand? What does Personal Branding Matters say?
Well, they suggest starting with a self-assessment, like taking inventory of your skills, your talents, your experience, all that good stuff.
Okay, so before we even start telling the world about ourselves, we need to figure out what we're all about.
Exactly. Like, what are you passionate about?
Mm.
What problems can you solve for other people? What makes you unique?
It's kind of like finding your superpower.
Yes. And once you know what your superpower is, you can start crafting your brand message. You know, that short and sweet statement that sums up who you are and what you do.
It's like your elevator pitch.
Right.
The thing you say when someone asks, so what do you do?
Exactly. And you want that message to be consistent across all your platforms.
Website, social media, the whole nine yards.
It's all about creating that cohesive brand identity so people know what to expect from you no matter where they encounter you.
Consistency is key.
Mm.
Okay, so we've done our self-assessment. We've nailed down our brand message. What's next? How do we actually start sharing our brand with the world?
All right, this is where the fun begins. Content creation. It's time to start putting yourself out there and sharing your expertise, your insights, your personality.
Okay, here's where I think a lot of people get stuck. It can be so overwhelming, you know, like, what kind of content should I create? Where do I share it? What if nobody cares?
I hear you. It's definitely a common struggle. But the beauty of content creation is there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Oh, good. Because I really don't want to dance on TikTok if that's not my thing.
Exactly. It's about finding what feels authentic to you. Experiment with different formats. Blog posts, social media updates, videos, podcasts, whatever floats your boat.
So it's more about finding what works for you and your brand, and then what? Just being consistent with it.
You got it. But the key here, and Personal Branding Matters emphasizes this a lot, is to provide value. Always ask yourself, how can I help my audience with this piece of content?
So it's not about just talking about yourself all the time. It's about actually helping people.
Exactly. Educate them, entertain them, inspire them, give them a different perspective, whatever it may be.
And make sure you're sharing that content on the platforms where your audience actually hangs out.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial. Do your research, know your audience, and go where they are.
Don't be shouting into the void.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to start small. You don't need to create some super polished, high production value thing right out of the gate. Sometimes it's the raw, behind-the-scenes stuff that connects the most with people.
People love that realness. Authenticity, remember.
Always. So you're putting out content, you're providing value, you're being yourself. But how do you know if it's actually working?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's like, how do you measure success in this whole personal branding game?
Data, my friend. Data. Track those engagement metrics. Likes, comments, shares, website traffic, all that jazz.
So we're not just throwing stuff out there blindly and hoping for the best.
Nope. We're using data to tell us what's working and what's not, and then we adjust accordingly.
So it's a constant process of refinement.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that building a personal brand takes time. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
We keep coming back to that, but it's so true.
It is. It's about playing the long game. Building something sustainable that will serve you for years to come, like planting a garden, you know? You've got to tend to it, nurture it, be patient.
And eventually it'll blossom.
Exactly. All right, so I want to talk about some common mistakes people make when building their personal brand. You know, those pitfalls we should all try to avoid.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it. Give us the lowdown on what not to do.
Okay, mistake number 1. Trying to be everything to everyone.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. It's like they're trying to appeal to everyone, so they end up appealing to no one.
Exactly. It's like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none. You get lost in the shuffle.
So it's better to niche down.
Way better.
Ugh.
Become known for something specific. Think about it. When you need a plumber, you don't call a general handyman.
You call a plumber.
Right. You want a specialist. The same thing goes for personal branding. The more specific you are, the more you'll stand out.
Makes sense. So niching down is key. What else?
Inconsistency, that's a big one. You got to show up regularly if you want people to remember you.
That's like building a muscle, right?
Yeah.
Consistency is how you get stronger.
Perfect analogy. If you're only popping up every now and then, people will forget about you. You got to be present. You got to engage. You got to nurture those relationships.
So consistency is about more than just posting content. It's about being an active part of your community.
Exactly. It's about showing up and saying, hey, I'm here. I'm invested. I care. Okay. I know this is a lot. Building a personal brand can feel like a lot sometimes.
It definitely can.
Yeah.
Especially when you start thinking about all the different pieces.
Right. But here's the thing. It's okay to ask for help. You don't have to figure this all out on your own.
Reach out to people, get support.
Exactly. There are coaches, courses, communities, all kinds of resources available.
Don't be afraid to tap into that.
Please don't. And here's another big one. Avoid comparison.
Oh, comparison is the thief of joy, for sure.
It really is. Everyone's journey is different, so focus on your own path and celebrate your own progress. Don't get caught up in what everyone else is doing.
Easier said than done sometimes, but so important.
I know, it's a constant practice. But remember, building a personal brand is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a journey, and it should be enjoyable.
Yes. Don't forget to have fun along the way.
Exactly. If you're not enjoying it, it's going to show. Let your passion shine through. Let your personality shine through. That's what people connect with.
Authenticity wins every time. So much good stuff in this guide, really. But I always like to end with, like, what's one thing people can do? You know, after listening to all this, what's that first step they can take right now?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? I think it all comes back to that why.
The why, yeah.
Yeah, like before you even get into the nitty-gritty of building a brand, sit down and really define your why. Why do you want to do this? What are your goals? What impact do you want to have on the world?
It's almost like figuring out your North Star.
Exactly. Once you have that clear in your mind, everything else, like the how-to stuff, becomes so much easier.
Because you know where you're headed.
Right. And just remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate those wins, and don't be afraid to ask for help along the way.
Love that. And speaking of help, huge thanks to My BFF Social for sponsoring this deep dive.
They're the best.
Seriously, they've been killing it in the social media, marketing, and advertising world since 2017.
Helping businesses connect with the right people, build those lasting relationships.
It's all about those BFFs, but the business kind, right?
Exactly. Business friends forever.
I love it. So if you're ready to level up your social media game, reach out to My BFF Social. They'll hook you up. And to all our amazing listeners out there, go make your mark. The world's waiting to hear your story.
Get out there and shine.